Hey there, folks. Welcome to my hobby update for November 2020. This is Jason, and we're going to go through some of the stuff I've been working on this month. Obviously, this is much later than I would have liked to put this out, but it's been quite a hectic month, you know, with all the stuff that's going on. But let's get to the fun stuff, which is what I did with the hobby. So, what you're looking at here is my full Milnertonia army as it currently stands. Now, this is just my fictional army set in my fictional world, uh, sort of loosely based on around historical factions and so on. So I kind of loosely based this on a more of a French medieval, early medieval army. Um, and I've added a few more things. I've taken out the ally components just to show you here, but obviously they will be used in games in the future. Right, so let's start with the things I've added this month. So first of all, I've added a third unit of spears. Um, there's a couple of reasons why I've added another unit of spearmen. I like having boots on the ground anyway. For the campaign that I'm planning for next year, I wanted to have a good variety of infantry units available to the army to do invasions and things like that. And this was another unit of soldiers I had lying around. You can notice that some of them don't have any shields. That's because I run out of the specific shields that they had. So hopefully, if Santa is good to me this year, I'll get some spare models that I can use for the remaining shields for the back rank. But that gives me 3 units of spears now. They obviously sit up here in Lion Rampant or Dragon Rampant. Um, but I can use this army for other things, and as I'll show you later. But yes, so I did the third unit of spears, and then also you see that middle unit of spears that used to have a transfer of a wolf's head on. So I've taken off the wolf's head and replaced it with the fleur de lis, and obviously extended the purple out on the shield a bit. So it kind of looks like that. Just because obviously it ties in with the army better, it stood out like a sore thumb. What I've also done is given just subtle differences. Like, for example, this shield has the little pointed edge and it's a half and half covering like that, whereas this one is sort of a flat top shield with a sideways covering, and then this one is obviously a four-way. So it still ties together in terms of color scheme and emblems and stuff like that. But if I wanted to define the 3 different units, I can do it like that, or mix them in together for bigger units for other games, and it'll still be fine. So that's 3 units of infantry painted. And then over here, just going to move Earbard out of the way. I wanted another unit of archers. I mentioned in the previous video that I wanted to do another unit of archers, but I didn't have any bows. I went scrounging up in my loft. I buy a lot of secondhand stuff and try and fix them up and do things like conversions and things with them to fit in with armies and miniatures that I use currently. And most of this army is obviously just Fireforge games and North Star games. So these are the North Star bowmen, and I've just used some Fireforge heads to make them tie in with the rest of the army, especially with the infantry troops and stuff like that. Also, I like the heads better. I obviously did that unit previously, which I call the light infantry light archers, and then the crossbows are the heavy archers, or heavy missile and light missile. And I wanted another unit, which I have now done the first rank of 6, which obviously I can use as a scout unit or a Bidowers unit. And you can see the next unit of 6 is on its way. And that'll give me 3 archer units or 3 ranged units, plus 3 infantry spearmen units. And then over here, I've obviously got my light infantry over here, which I use with the sword and shield and no armor bodies, also from North Star Games. But then you can see at the back here, I've got 2 units of serfs, which I'm just about to start working on. It's not necessarily that I would include these in army, but I always feel like it looks cool to have a unit of militia, if you like, and they will also form a good basis for scenarios and things like villages that need protecting or something like that. I also got ideas of drafting in peasants to rank out the army as they go on campaign, that sort of thing. So that would be next on the log. So once I finish with these archers, I'll probably do a unit or two of militia over there, and then that is all the standing forces I have at the moment. And you can see over here on the cavalry section, here's a nice little gap over here. This is hopefully going to be some mounted crossbowmen, or mounted archers, crossbows, mounted ranged units. I wanted to do a little more cavalry for this, but hopefully with the project I got in mind for January, that'll sort of help with this, if you like. Anyway, that is what the army looks like currently, set up for Lion Rampant. And with the help of camera magic, I can show you what this would look like for Oathmark. And just like that, the army is set up for Oathmark and ready for a new game. So as you can see, it's very similar in terms of figures used. The only difference is, obviously, I've got Madiba the Wizard here, and the army is slightly reduced in terms of actual figures, but we've got 2 units of spears, a unit of soldiers, and 3 units of archers, although obviously the crossbowmen would just be model ripping as archers, and then we've got 2 units of cavalry. And that is forms the basis of my Oathmark army. Obviously I would like to add a little more fantasy elements to this, but for now that'll be a good starting point, I think. I'm not sure how much points this is, I haven't really worked it out. When we get closer to actually allowing people to come over again to play some games, we'll work out the points then and play some games of Oathmark. Battles of a Lost Age. And of course I can add other races to this, as like dwarves, elves. While I was rummaging around in the loft, I did find some elves from the Island of Blood set. What's interesting about I've got not enough to make an army out of it, but there's a couple of figures in there. If I can pick up a few more, a couple of this, because the Sword Masters and the Sea God I've only got like 9 or 10 models of each of those. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I thought I'd just show you that what it looks like when it's all set up and ready for Oathmark. And these are the cavalry trays that Warbases had made for me. Perfect for me because obviously I use the oval shaped cavalry bases. And then of course my ranged units, I don't have to set them up in units of 10. I could obviously just make a unit of 20 if I wanted to, or units of 15, or whatever the case may be. And over here, units of 20 spears and a unit of 20 soldiers or militia. And I can chop and change a few other bits as well. I've obviously didn't use much of the light troops. I can make them into warriors or something like that, and so forth. Anyway, let's get on to the next army. Alright, so now we move on to Ingrid's north-inspired halfling army, sort of Viking, Norse mythology, maybe, something like that. I think I might just be almost at the end of this army now. I finished off the unit of thieves, or in this case, they'll just be either 2 units of widowers or another light archer unit. You'll notice they got bows on their backs, and some of them are carrying the bows to the front. So they're a ranged unit, but technically they're classified as thieves from the unit that I bought. But yeah, so they're another ranged unit to go with already the crossbowmen that I have there. I finished the command group for the crossbowmen, so I got the champion and the musician. But as you can see, the musician and the battle standard bearer doesn't have bases. As either I miscounted or I lost 2 of them when I was making these bases. So I haven't finished their bases. So I need to base that one, and then everything is done. Because then I have basically everything, other than those 2 bases, everything else I've got is painted for this army. I've got no more figures to paint for this. But that doesn't mean I don't have any ideas to add more to it. For example, good fellow Curtis Johnson sent me this interesting little fella, which gave me an idea. You get some interesting halfling characters, like a little witch hunter and a wizards and things like that. So I might make an elite unit of having sort of almost like D&D party members. So you're like a warrior, a wizard, a stealthy character, like that sort of thing. So 6 of them in a little unit on its own as an elite fighting unit. I'm also thinking maybe some wolves, sort of frosty northern wolves, maybe something like that. Another unit of lesser war beasts, which the wolves would fill in as, but I'd use 6 of them, so there'd be 1 wound each, as opposed to the bears, which are 2 wounds each. And also give the bears a rest, as I tend to not look after them in games. And then, I don't know. I mean, another warrior unit probably wouldn't go amiss, as the units aren't, I mean, in Dragon Rampant, they work fine because you don't need many warrior units. But if I was going to say, use this in, say, something else, like, I don't know, maybe Oathmark or something like that, you'd need more infantry. And even though I've got a decent amount of infantry, yeah, I mean, there's 5 units of infantry, although 2 of them are ranged units. They could probably do with a little more there. And maybe another cavalry unit. Obviously, I've got this unit of goat riders here, led by Beatrix. Another one wouldn't go amiss, I guess. But for now, I think I'm happy. Once I finish those 2 bases, I think for now I'm pretty happy with where the army is at. And I might move on to a different project. Obviously, I've got the 2 cockatrices there, which are the center point of the army. And then you've got the bears, goat riders. You've got the 2 bolt throwers at the back there. Some catapults probably could go well with this army as well. Hot pot type style catapults. You've got the crossbows and the scouts. And then you've got my sort of Covenant Scott berserker dudes. And 2 units of warriors. And then my wizard with her crow retinue. And then you've got a couple of extra models over there. A leader model and one of the warrior unit models. I'm not really sure why I have that spare model, and I've clearly not worked out how I'm supposed to when I built this army, because I've got them obviously in 2 units of 12 at the moment, and they both got a command group, and I've just added the command group for that. And I could potentially obviously add the battle standard bearer over here into that to give them a flag. So for example, just take that out, put that in there. And then I've got another spare model. So yeah, obviously I didn't work it out properly when I was basing that, and maybe that's why I have the 2 spare bases, because I didn't, I counted up how many models in the units, and those 2 needed bases. So I don't know. It was a mass failure by me somewhere. But it's not the big deal. Obviously, I'll make some more bases for this. And I'm also tempted to rebase the cockatrices. They're on the same basis as the bears in terms of size at the moment. And you can see, I mean, it works fine. But when I did my Shoshani army, I put on the elephants onto large cavalry bases, like really big sort of monster bases. And I'm tempted to put the cockatrices on those type of things as well. I mean, it's not perfect basing for like that. It's more easier to integrate them into any game system. But when you have them on the big bases, they're not that easy to integrate into bigger games. But because I only play casually at home, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, that is Ingrid's army at the moment. And like I said, what I added was I painted up the unit of scouts. I finished off the command group, and I think that's that. Okay, one final thing to show you. Okay, so this is the final thing I wanted to show you guys. This is something I might work on in January, sort of after Christmas, as the majority of this stuff I'll be getting for Christmas, hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, so what are we looking at here? So these are the North Star plastic cultists. Now, what happened was while I was rummaging up in the loft, I always find some stuff that I've had for a while that I haven't got around to doing. But I got some secondhand stuff off a fella who painted some of the cultists. Obviously, this is what it was painted like by him. Uh, Not bad, but this is not what I was thinking about. Because what I was thinking about is, in my own fashion, I've always wanted to do a Templar army. So yeah, I even prepared already by having the red tent already prepared for it. Um, but I started, oh man, it was many years ago when I only just got into the hobby. When I was at Salute, and I think it was at the Crystal Palace at the time. I bought a couple of figures. I think it was from Front Rank Miniatures, maybe. I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. And I painted up a few Templars, but it was a terrible job. I didn't really have anything to use it with because at the time I didn't know much about the hobby. So it just went by the side, and over the years I got involved in other things and never came back around to it. But obviously Fireforge Games have a great range of Templar miniatures, or miniatures you can use in the Crusades, even for the different factions: Hospitallers, Templars, Teutonics, whatever you like. So I toyed around with doing a Templar miniature with one of the little bits and pieces I had left over. Obviously I painted a red cloak, and I'll come back to that in a second, why I did that, which is not going to stay like that, but just FYI. But anyway, I put together a miniature with the little bits and pieces I had left over from my Milnatonia army and painted up a Crusader. I was quite happy with that, and I thought, you know what, I got an idea. So I then went and dished out these, or found out where these little cultists was, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a zealotish sort of religious faction, if you like, for my Milnatonia world or my Arcalash world. And I'll use these cultist figures as Templar sergeants. So they would be what I would call the Brothers of Blood. And in the background, they would be looking to summon their god, which is a mighty bull demon, which this is from either WizKids or Reaper. I'm not sure, I can't remember. I got it a while back. It's one of those weird, sort of weird, bendy plastic miniatures. It's not great, but it's big. So the idea behind it was, I painted this up, and this is the god that they're going to try and summon. And to do that, they need to kill as many people as they can to sacrifice to the blood god. So my theory was, I'm going to build up some brothers, proper Templar knights, to use in Templar games, like the new Lion Rampant supplement from Daniel Mercy and Gianluca Raccagni. I don't think I've said that right. Anyway, and also I thought I'd pick up a copy of Deus Vault from Fireforge Games. So to actual play actual Crusade games, but you know, as in my own way, I like to add fantasy or fictional elements to things. So I'm going to build a Templar army with Templar Knights and Hospitaller Knights and things like that. And in the meantime, instead of getting more sergeant figures to add to it, I can obviously add my Milnatonia sergeants, and I can use these guys. So I've repainted, this is what they looked like before, I've repainted them like this. So you can see my original plan, it's just a little humorous anecdote. My original, they came pre-built and pre-painted like this. So I cleaned them up as much as I could, and then painted, I was going to paint them all white with like red crosses, kind of similar to this. But then it kind of gave me the vibe of some unwanted, I don't know what to mean. It basically looked like the KKK. I didn't want to be associated with that. So I couldn't keep them all white with a red cross. So then, hence reason I changed to the red sort of predominant color with white robes in under, so as a secondary color, which is why I then painted this fella's cloak red, just to give it a look, to see what it looked like. But obviously that's not traditionally how the Templars were. You know, I mean, they didn't use extravagant colors and things like that because they kept all their stuff sort of really cheap because of their religious nature, I guess, and their pious nature. They don't want to lavishly spend money on things that were not necessary. Even though this ties in better together like that, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go back to the white cloak. So they'll look like Templar knights, rather, you know, like this fella. So they're going to look like that rather than like that, the Horse Brothers. And I'll repaint these guys as well, similar to that. And then the box, I've got another box that I haven't even built up yet. And I haven't built them up yet because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, whether it's going to be more spearmen or more of the extravagant weapons they have in there, like sickles and things like that. But these two were already built, so I thought I'll take that apart and rebuild them up again into this sort of theme. And then I based them like this because I kept them a similar theme to my Militonia basing. But then it dawned on me there's a couple of other things that have gone wrong here. One, I would have liked to done my my knights, my Templar army in a sort of that crackle earth basing to give it a really dry desert look. You know, just because of the Middle Eastern sort of feel. I know it wasn't always like that, but it just looks cool. So, but then I was thinking, this one is already based like this. I can't be basing them all differently. And this guy, I haven't based him yet because I originally got him to be my Minotaur Lord. I'm a massive fan of Minotaurs, hence why I even bought this in the first place. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm gonna make him my Minotaur Lord. He came with his own base, which looked like a maze with a Minotaur middle symbol in the middle. I've taken that off, and I was going to give them the bases that I've done my Minotaurs in. So they would have quite a mix of basing. So I haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. But I did paint this guy like with a red tabard and some red bits at the back here. Added some cream like on the bones and his horns and stuff like that, kind of to just tie in a little bit with this force. Anyway, enough of my rambling. This is what I'm going to be working on in January. So I'm going to be doing a Templar army with some Templar knights, some Hospitaller knights, and then these cultists are going to form the sergeant's core of the army. And then I'll do sort of an Arab style army in the future to face them. Anyway, that is my new project, a Templar. This book is excellent, by the way. I haven't read all through it yet, but it's thick. It's got such a lot of pages. But I've been looking through it little bits at a time. I've also got the Outremer book from Osprey Games, which I've been reading. And I was going to show you guys the Des Vault book I got from Fireforge. It's the Loot and Burn one, so it's the skirmish one. But I don't know where the hell I've put that now. So I'll have to show that to you guys next time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please comment and like and subscribe and all that good stuff underneath, and let me know what you guys think. And if you have any comments, please share them. I'd love to hear from you guys. Speak to you guys later.